Make better money choices. Choose a bank that takes your money seriously. Business Watch is brought to you by Nedbank.
All right, 7 minutes after 2, a little late today, but you know what they say, better late than never. We are still delighted to have you join us on the program today. It is the Nedbank Business Watch. It is a Wednesday after all, and we do have really interesting developments happening around our business landscape we want to update you on today. Very delighted to be your host today alongside this lovely lady right next to me. My name is Sifiso Ngumalo.
Good afternoon, Gunin. Good afternoon to our viewers. Thank you for tuning in. This is Nedbank Business Watch. You can watch us on our YouTube page. We are at Eswatini TV. We're on DSTV channel 286 as well. Good afternoon and welcome.
All right, coming up on the program today, we want to unpack a critical step in the fight against corruption here in Eswatini. Remember, corruption has been flagged as one of the top 5 criminal activities generating illicit proceeds in the country. Now, in a significant move, the Anti-Corruption Commission, known as the ACC, has signed a memorandum of understanding with the Eswatini Public Procurement Regulatory Agency. They want to target corruption specifically in the public procurement space. Sanela Sbia is going to join us today to break down this landmark agreement. We want to discuss the broader implications for governance, how this partnership could strengthen accountability, as well as the potential economic impact of curbing corruption in the public sector. You won't want to miss this deep dive into how Eswatini is addressing one of the most pressing challenges to its economy and development.
Yeah, that's right. Good afternoon once again. This customer service weekend for the rest of the Cyber Awareness Month, Nedbank Eswatini is embarking on a campaign to equip their clients and all Eswatini on how to protect themselves and their money from online scammers. The campaign will focus on various cyber crimes and tactics used by fraudsters and educate Eswatini on how to protect themselves. Spalele Makakula from Nedbank Eswatini will join us today to tell us more about this campaign. And for our leading story today, the governor of the Central Bank of Eswatini, Dr. Phil Mnisi, has successfully engaged the governor of the South African Reserve Bank, Lesetja Kganyago, to have banks in South Africa to fully implement the new cross-border payment system, which has recently been adopted by countries under the Common Monetary Area to ease the frustration experienced by locals. For now, let's go to our first story.
On our first story, over the past weeks, Eswatini have been frustrated by the new cross-border payment system, which has been recently been adopted by countries under the Common Monetary Area, where it either took a long time for their transactions or charges were too high in South Africa. Head of Strategy and Communication at the Central Bank, Mandla Luponvo, says the governor, Dr. Philip Mnisi, has successfully engaged the governor of the South African Reserve Bank, Lesetja Kganyago, to have banks in the country to fully implement this change to ease the frustration that are experienced by locals when transferring money to South Africa. We have a report.
We are pushing ourselves consistently as the central bank to make sure that we engage as frequently as we need to, and we keep in touch with our stakeholders. And one of the challenges that we've managed to recently resolve in alignment with that aspiration of our strategy has been the cross-border debacle. Some of members of the public would be aware that there were difficulties when it comes to sending money to South Africa, and that's one issue that the central bank has taken up and prioritized and engaged at the highest levels, as we saw the Central Bank of Eswatini governor engaging with his counterpart in South Africa, Mr. Lesetja Kganyago. And we are happy with the output of that engagement, because last week the Reserve Bank of South Africa has issued a directive to the commercial banks in South Africa, a directive basically to to bring about relaxations and address some of the bottlenecks that we were picking up, because our customers were battling to timely wire their money to South Africa, because the money was then subjected to a lot of screening, which ultimately affected timelines. But we are happy to share with the public that will be a thing of the past, because when you send money below $1 million as an individual, expect that there has to be seamless wiring of that money without any hassles. At least there should be challenges if it's over $1 million for individuals. But when it comes to companies, anything below 5 million, we accept a seamless transition of the money from Eswatini to South Africa. And we will be monitoring that, working alongside our local banks to check if indeed that is being addressed. From the outset of the week, we've been in touch with commercial banks, and we are encouraged by the feedback that we are getting. And we want to believe that by the 15th, by mid-month, which is the time at which most commercial banks are starting to be busy, we're expecting that there will be a seamless transactions between South Africa and Eswatini.
Corruption has been found to be among the top 5 criminal cases that generate proceeds of crime in the country. This was shared by the Acting Commissioner of the Anti-Corruption Commission, Maphevu Mkhatshwa, during the signing of a Memorandum of Understanding with the Eswatini Public Procurement Regulatory Agency meant to combat corruption in procurement.
The key areas of cooperation outlined in this agreement we are going to sign today, they span from information sharing and joint training programs to coordinated efforts in corruption prevention, and symbolizing our united front in addressing the challenges we face. We will be exchanging intelligence and best practices. We will enhance our capabilities, bolster our enforcement actions, and foster a culture of integrity within the public procurement space. As we sign this memorandum of understanding today, we do so with renewed sense of purpose and determination. We commit to safeguarding our procurement processes against corruption, ensuring that every public lilangeni to the cent is spent wisely and fairly for the benefit of all Eswatini citizens.
The Acting Commissioner of the Anti-Corruption Commission, Maphevu Mkhatshwa, says such collaboration strengthens the Commission's and the country's resolve to fight against corruption.
Although we have not been successful in quantifying corruption in procurement yet, however, the amounts of escalated tenders where a road ends up costing over $1 billion shows that there is a problem. According to the National Risk Assessment conducted in 2023, corruption was found to be among the top 5 criminal cases that generate proceeds of crime in the country. The consensus is clear. Corruption in public procurement is a major drain on public resources that could otherwise be used for public good. Corruption is systematic in the country, and we acknowledge that government is on the drive to close the gaps. Such collaboration with entities like ESPPRA strengthen the Commission's and the country's resolve to fight corruption. A more unified approach to tackling corruption builds public trust and the overall integrity of the procurement process, including that of government. The MOU allows enhanced collaboration, sharing of information, leveraging of resources, capacity building, public awareness initiatives, and prevention strategies. It also paves way for policy development to address vulnerabilities in the procurement process and establishing frameworks for effective monitoring and evaluation of effectiveness of the anti-corruption initiatives. Our commitment to integrity is unwavering. We recognize that effective governance requires not only strong regulations but also the will to enforce them. By working together, we are sending a clear message that corruption has no place in our society.
The Eswatini Public Procurement Regulatory Agency has engaged in a number of reforms to ensure fair procurement processes, including training of officials and advocating for professionalization of the procurement space. For Nedbank Business Watch, Nelson Ngamandla, Vuminkosi Nzinisa, Mbabane.
All right. It seems like today's show is all about confronting challenges that continue to attain on the ground. Corruption is being confronted straight on the head, as well as cross-border payment challenges.
Yeah, after the break, we speak to Spalile Makakula on their cybercrime awareness campaign.
Digital helps you make cross-border payments. Human gives you global specialists. Digital allows you to apply for a loan anytime, anywhere. Human connects you to credit experts. Digital puts you in control of your money, while Human connects you to wealth advisors. Digital allows you to freeze, unfreeze, cancel, and reorder your card. Human gives you that personal touch. Digital when you want it. Human when you need it. Get the complete private banking experience with Nedbank Private Clients.
When you choose your adventures, you do so with an open heart and a desire for the unexpected. You embark on journeys to discover new worlds full of wonder. You choose a path to awaken your senses, a world to make you look up and realize just how inspiring this life can be. Arrive and awaken your heart. Explore life in ways only thought possible in your dreams. Discover just how far you go to expand your understanding of life's greatest mysteries. There's just one place on this planet with so much to offer. Now is the time for you to have the royal experience in the kingdom.
Welcome back. You're still watching Nedbank Business Watch. Thank you for staying with us. Companies and organizations are raising awareness on cybercrime this month and for this Customer Service Week and for the rest of the Cyber Awareness Month. Nedbank Eswatini is also embarking on a campaign to equip their clients and all Emaswati on how to protect themselves and their money from online scammers. I'm joined by Spalile Makakula Shabong from Nedbank to tell us more about this campaign. Very good afternoon, Spa. Thank you for coming through.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, companies all over the world are commemorating Cybercrime Awareness Month, raising an awareness. Nedbank as well is doing the same. Tell us more about your campaign.
Thank you so much. So as you know, that our purpose as Nedbank is to basically use our financial expertise to do good to individuals, companies, the society at large. So this is just an intentional act to say that we are assisting Emaswati to educate them on how to safeguard their monies in terms of cyber awareness and cyber attacks or cyber frauds. Yes.
So how rife is this type of crime within Nedbank Eswatini? What tactics do these fraudsters use?
All right, this is more not even specifically to Nedbank, but it's generally across Eswatini and globally, and say I should say Eswatini generally. But one of the biggest challenges that we're facing is business email compromise. Basically, this is where your email is either, should I say, hacked or infiltrated by other means, or compromised in a way. Okay. Then the fraudster is basically going to gain access to your email account, and then what they do, they go through your history, your conversations, and understanding how you speak, you engage, your suppliers. But now, in terms of business email compromise, the focus, the target is business. So this fraudster will The long play is that they'll purport to be a supplier, trusted supplier. They'll use the same language and the same tone as they engage you.
And you wouldn't suspect anything.
You'll not suspect anything.
Yeah.
And basically the message is simple. What they say is that, please note, most of the time they'll even speak about things that you've spoken about in the past. If you recently got married, you know, congratulations, because remember, they've gotten a hold of your whole history and understanding your patterns and behaviors. So they'll then say, please note, we have changed our banking details to ABCD, and when in actual fact, that account is actually being controlled by fraudsters.
So do they target large entities, companies, or even small organizations?
All.
Everyone is
Everyone.
a target.
Everyone is a target. Basically, the police did explain to us and publicize that this is actually the leading fraud in Eswatini in terms of the quantum. Because, for instance, just imagine if you have one invoice for Eswatini TV for your equipment, let's say for what, 1 million, and there's an issue of business email compromise, that one invoice will cost you 1 million. So, in essence, this person will send that email to yourself purporting to be that supplier of 1 million equipment, right?
Okay.
And they'll say, note, change of banking details. So you will then respond and say, oh, noted, we shall then, you know, direct all further payments to this. They'll go to the point of actually even quoting the invoice numbers. Please note, invoice number ABZD should be paid to this bank account. We've since changed our banking details.
Okay.
So you'll go in and pay. And then
So,
after 30 days, your drill supplier will call and tell you we actually haven't received payment. And you'll be like, no, actually I did pay. Yes. Then that is where you then get to understand that actually you've been scammed.
Okay. So how do companies get exposed? You know, how then can they protect themselves? What gaps do they need to fill?
Okay, so mainly the way that most companies get exposed, or clients should I say, is that one of the biggest challenges, social engineering, where someone is going to get information from you, compromise you, and then attack you. The other one that is common is they hack you. You know, and this basically happens by me being in different platforms and environments where I then compromise myself. So the best way to protect yourself is firstly, make sure that you are cyber savvy, you understand the risks that come with operating, you know, in the digital world. So firstly, you ensure that in terms of, you cannot be social engineered. You understand what that is. So no one can come to you and start getting information. So what time do you get to work? You know, so how's business doing? And then you'll be all spilling everything. And these people are very good. They've got like serious techniques in getting
skilled,
information.
yeah.
Exactly. So you'll be spilling out everything. And the next thing you know, you've been compromised.
Yeah.
Yes, but I think the traditional route is you make sure that you've got all the antiviruses updated, you know, and all that. But the most important thing is the individual, the conduct, because business email compromise is you compromise yourself. Hence, then a third party then gets access, you know, into your infrastructure.
Okay. So are there any breakthroughs, you know, with investigations with the police? Is that even local people or it's people outside the country?
Unfortunately, these are international syndicates, you know. So when you do report a case, you discover that firstly the funds, right, Eswatini TV, you'll be buying your equipment obviously from South Africa or any other neighboring country, for instance. These are not manufactured in Eswatini. So most companies that get hit are basically companies that procure their equipment outside Eswatini. And these accounts will be foreign accounts. So largely in most cases, it's South African accounts. By the time the case is reported, that account, funds have been withdrawn, they've been transferred, the account has been closed or abandoned.
Yeah, still on, you know, your clients in protecting themselves, let's talk about verification. How important is it for them to verify that email that they've just received with their supplier?
Thank you so much. It's a very important question. So you picture it like this. How many times have you changed your bank account? You rarely.
Really?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So in terms of a business, that is your core in terms of your bank account. So you can't really just be receiving emails about change of banking details. That is a big decision. There has to be, you know, proper communication, you know, to your suppliers, not just an email.
Okay.
So what is key is that when you receive such an email, you go through it, you vet it. I will not go into the the nitty-gritties of how you vet, but we hope that Eswatini, they do understand that.
Okay.
So your invoice numbers, you check against the account details that you have. But most importantly, when you now receive this email, just to make sure that, now let's say this is an authentic email. So you just need to contact the person that you've been dealing with, but then do not go to that email and find those contacts. Remember, this account has been compromised already. So if you try to verify, Spalele, is this you?
Yeah,
Obviously,
everything will look normal.
Yes,
like
the fraudster will reply,
account, yeah.
yes, this is me. So the only way to verify, you use an independent channel, another channel besides the one that is currently at play right now. So you'll take your phone and you call the contact that you usually communicate with.
Yeah,
Yes.
like relationship managers, they do have those, your clients?
Definitely.
Okay, so what then do they do if they suspect fraudulent activity?
Most importantly, you report to your bank. That's the most important thing. First and foremost, what you do, you report to your bank. And then secondly, you report to the police. And for cyber crimes, in fact, ESCCOM requires us to actually report as well. So clients should report. Feel free to report to them so that the country understands the landscape, what the type of attacks that we're facing.
Okay, just one last question before I let you go. What other fraudulent activities or cybercrime can your clients be wary of?
Okay, I think these we're going to be attending, in the next few sessions, but we're going to be looking at a lot in terms of social media behavior, because basically this is the channel that is used to compromise people. For you to get to business email compromise, you're then in another platform which then compromises you, your WhatsApp, all that being in groups. The next thing you see adverts, or you see, your account has been taken over, your social media account, you can't get access to it, and you think, no, maybe it's the internet. So there's a lot that we're going to be taking our clients through. But for now, it's just the business email compromise, and we really hope that our clients really understand the importance of being safe online. Most importantly, have your strong passwords. It should include characters, caps, and other characters like numbers.
Regularly. Is it safe to change it regularly?
It is. It is safe to change regularly. But what is key? Don't overshare. Generally, anything. If you're a company, you have a clean desk policy. Don't be leaving documents around. Privacy is key. This is where information gets compromised. And do not rather shred information than put it in the dustbin. We've got people that get paid to do dumpster diving. They will be going into dustbin to get information.
Yeah.
So it's just generally behavior. Let us just be aware that this the digital world that we're in is it's critical, and there are risks. But more than anything, Nedbank, we've got the infrastructure, to protect you. But where then you have compromised yourself, there's only so much that the bank can do.
Okay, lastly, how do your clients get in contact with you?
All right, so we have our help desk, Nedbank help desk. We have the email. I'm sure you'll be flagging it, but it's Nedbank. It's helpdesk at nedbank.co.za.
All right.
And then we also have our call center number. That is 32 78 1999.
All right.
So if there are any complaints or suspicions of any, strange activity, or you then cannot access your email, those are the indicators that you might have been compromised. So you quickly just call your bank, or you call your banker.
All right, that's it. Thank you so much, Spalela. There you have it. Nedbank's Cybercrime Awareness Campaign running for the rest of the month, since it is Cybercrime Awareness Month this October. Let's go for an ad break. Sabia Konamaj.
Digital helps you make cross-border payments. Human gives you global specialists. Digital allows you to apply for a loan anytime, anywhere. Human connects you to credit experts. Digital puts you in control of your money, while human connects you to wealth advisors. Digital allows you to freeze, unfreeze, cancel, and reorder your card. Human gives you that personal touch. Digital when you want it. Human when you need it. Get the complete private banking experience with Nedbank Private Clients.
Welcome back. Companies and organizations are raising a lot of awareness on cybercrime this month. And for this customer service week and for the rest of the Cyber Awareness Month, Nedbank Eswatini is also embarking on a campaign to equip their clients and all Emaswati on how to protect themselves and their money from online customers. That was an interesting conversation between Nelsiwe and Nedbank Eswatini. All right, we get into now another conversation which speaks to corruption, which has long been a significant hurdle to sustainable economic development. Public procurement being one of the most vulnerable areas, and recently the Anti-Corruption Commission and the Eswatini Public Procurement Regulatory Agency took a bold step by signing a memorandum of understanding which is aimed at tackling this very issue. The MOU is not just a document, it's a framework for a more transparent, a fair and an accountable procurement process in Eswatini. Economist Sanele Sibia joins us now and is going to help us unpack the real significance of this agreement. Sanele, good afternoon to you and welcome to the program. Let's speak about, how this memorandum of understanding between the Anti-Corruption Commission and ESPRA is important. How important is it, and how might it transform the landscape of procurement in Eswatini?
Good afternoon, Mr. Nxumalo, and good afternoon to the viewers at home. So what we are seeing today, I would like to call it what we call a watershed moment. It's one of those interagency cooperations that this country needs in order to ensure that we move towards efficiency, more especially within the public procurement sphere and basically throughout social life in Eswatini and economic life. So we call it as a watershed moment. And we've seen as a country how, we have seen how over the years the government has tried to deal with issues of corruption and other malfunctions within our procurement processes. Just a few days ago, if you remember, Mr. Nxumalo, a few months actually, we saw the finance minister tabling that procurement booklet or that guideline to procurement of common use items in terms of the pricing and all of those guidelines. So I think signing this this MOU would also build and fit into those efforts that we are trying to introduce as a country to ensure that we are able to deal with corruption and we are able to make sure that, the Lilangeni that we have goes a bit more further. And if we can shift towards efficiency and transparency within our procurement systems, then we would be able to make the procurement system work for every Liswati through participating in the procurement process. And also, I see this signing of this MOU as one of those catalysts that will go towards ensuring that we are able, as a country, to encourage whistleblowing where we need to blow the whistle and bring corruption to the fore, so that we can actually strengthen and invigorate our fight against corruption as a country. As you know, we're a country that loses quite a huge or significant amount to corruption on a monthly basis. I think the last estimates did put us around 45 million per month. So we do hope that this MOU, like you said, it's not just going to be an MOU that's going to sit there. It's going to presents a framework, and also it presents tangible steps in terms of linking these interagencies so that we are able to be a bit more efficient and a bit more cunning towards corruption as a country, Mr. Nxumalo.
Right. We know corruption in procurement is among the top 5 criminal cases generating proceeds of crime in the country. Could you share some insights on the key areas of procurement that are most vulnerable to corruption and why these areas need special attention?
So what regard, Mr. Numalo, is the procurement process in itself. We have seen how how people can influence the tendering process, and that in itself is a corrupt type of endeavor where people can utilize their power and their might and the connections that they have so that they influence the procurement process in their favor. And we've seen, I mean, it has become so appalling that it has become a norm in this country that we talk of the 10% and those kickbacks. We've normalized it. It's become part of our procurement processes, more especially within the public sphere. So I think those are the areas that we need to focus on as a first step. And then also one would hope that would be the ESPRA and the Anti-Corruption Commission would be able now to also go in and delve deep into the supply process. I mean, we've seen programs. I wouldn't say it's necessarily corruption, but it's one of those things that need efficiency within the procurement process where we've seen cost overruns. You know, we start with a program that's supposed to cost initially a few $100 and then it just ends up costing billions. And that's not good for the fiscals. It's not good for our public debt to GDP ratio. So if you look at that, it affects quite a number of the dynamics in terms of managing the fiscals and in terms of being able to provide critical services as a country. So we need to ensure that we are able to get the best supplier for the job, and we do away with the human relations, and we make sure that we have a process that just is going to work. I mean, as we speak, we have one of the most glaring procurement issues because, I mean, if you look at the health sector, the crisis there, that's a procurement problem. And we do hope that such interventions and such interagency cooperations will actually strengthen and help move the country towards the right direction, because the costs of corruption are very dire, Mr. Numalo. When corruption is allowed to thrive, it does take away a school that we could have built with that money. It does take away a hospital. It does take away pills from people. It takes away jobs. It takes away quite a number of the initiatives that we could be doing as a country. And as we move into what the Prime Minister called mega projects type of planning, we need to make sure that our procurement game is up to standard, because it's actually going to open up space for looting into the billions, because we are talking of billions of MLRN that have to be invested in these mega projects that we need to start. So I do believe that this cooperation has actually come at the most opportune time, and we need to ensure that we shape it well and it is able to drive an agenda to ensure that Eswatini becomes corruption free, and the procurement process is the right place to start.
Yeah, so more accountability and more transparency going forward, and we can resolve all the clearing challenges that we have been facing. Thank you for your time. Thank you for insights, Sanele. Thank you to our viewers for enjoying that segment. We want to get into another interesting segment. The Central Bank of Eswatini, it has given comprehensive information on the small-scale enterprise loan guarantee scheme. Our business journalist, Nelsiwe Ndlangamandla, sat down with the Deputy Director, Development Finance, Gcina Nxumalo. They unpacked how small and medium enterprises can access as well as benefit from the scheme.
Welcome to the show, Mnguni. I know the Central Bank of Eswatini offers different guarantee scheme, but my interest today is on the small-scale enterprise loan guarantee scheme. What is the scheme, and how do small and medium enterprises access this guarantee scheme?
No, thank you, Nelson. Maybe for a start, I would just highlight that the schemes are within the Central Bank of Eswatini for administrative purposes. And of course, they were set up by government to try to assist the SMEs to access finance within the financial institutions. And in terms of how do you access the funds, the way it is structured, the project promoter or that SME that needs a loan, they would approach their bank. It's just that we've been reviewing, now we've added other financial institutions to participate within the scheme.
Delve deep, Nguni, and talk to us about the percentages. How much does a small and medium enterprise holder has to have before applying for this guarantee scheme?
Maybe I would highlight a bit that we've got two of the guarantee schemes that are within the central bank. We've got the export credit guarantee facility, as well as the small scale enterprise loan guarantee scheme. Maybe I will just go a bit deeper on the small scale guarantee scheme. Someone who wants to access finance would indicate within the bank, then the bank could apply for a guarantee. We've got actually two guarantees. There's one for startups, which is around 95% of the loan amount. And then we've got another guarantee which caters for those businesses that have been operating for some time, that is over a year. We guarantee 95% for startups, then 85% for the already existing businesses. And of course, that entrepreneur or that SME would have to contribute something, and that is in terms of those who are startups, they will have to contribute 5% of the loan amount, and then the fully operational businesses will contribute 15% of the loan amount.
How well do you ensure that the businesses that get the guarantee schemes are businesses that are viable, businesses that will be sustainable even in the long run?
Definitely. When we say the bank should do an assessment of that particular request, we are saying they should actually consider the issue that if I give you a loan, definitely it looks like the money will come back. But of course we know there's no certainty in terms of business. But what you are saying is the bank will do the assessment to say, if we give you 500,000, you've got the market, you've got other things catered for, so that you are able to repay that particular facility. That is why in terms of the requirements, that SME or that particular entrepreneur would have to submit a cash flow projection.
The guarantee schemes have been here for some time, and there has been complaints that the requirements are too stiff and most businesses are not able to access them. I know that in the small scale loan guarantee scheme, the central bank has reported that the uptake has increased recently. But how have you worked to ensure that the requirements are relaxed so that atoba maningi nalamaswati nomege business lamancane lakhonako to access this loan guarantee scheme?
I would say the schemes since establishment in 1990, there have been quite a number of reviews to say how can we make them better operate, or the uptake being, within what we would consider to be effective. In 2021, the schemes were again reviewed. Probably we're still going to have, the last review was in 2021, where we are saying if you want to access the funds, you would have to, if you are a startup, you would have to contribute the 5%. Of course, we're coming from a long way where the contribution was a blanket contribution. It didn't count in terms of being a startup or just a business that wants to expand. We started from 75% and the contribution was 25% at that time. But of course now we are at a point where we've actually even separated the businesses in terms of the tenure that they have been operating. So that is why we have startup which we consider that they haven't saved much in order to contribute towards the security. So that was the review that was done in 2021, as well as the 15%, as I indicated, we coming from 25%. Now we're down to the 15% contribution. The other issue was in terms of trying to incentivize the banks, to participate, because at some point there were challenges in terms of claims. You would find that it took a bit longer to actually pay the claim from our side. We needed quite a number of documentation, and the process was a bit strenuous for the banks, because what used to happen, they had to go through all the legal process, and as you may know, the processes within the courts sometimes they are a bit slow. So we had to waiver that to say we are going to pay within 30 days once the bank has claimed. Then of course the bank will have to then follow up on the debt from the borrower. Yes, I think that's the major one which we did.
Some of the institutions that have these loan guarantee schemes are banks. Banks have their own products, aniketa ema loans now. How do you ensure that banks are able to explain when clients come, like telling them that no, government has these loan guarantee schemes, so that they can be able to access them? Because I'm imagining ukuthi libhange nalo nangabe kukhona ema loans lelwa offerishako nalo litawukusho ukuthi ngeke mhlawumbe lichaze kahle kule client ukuthi hayi ngalana kukhona i-collateral, mhlawumbe litawuthi hayi thatha nayi yami i-loan, nenda njani lapho?
It's a tricky one. Yes, of course, banks do have their own products that they have to market, as well as the small-scale guarantee scheme. What we usually do in terms of promotion on our side is to attend the trade fair, which is of course once a year, and I do not think that would have the desired impact in terms of understanding the mechanics of the schemes. We usually have quarterly meetings with the banks to try to encourage them to explain to clients, especially those that come in to say, I do not have the required collateral, to say, assess them and probably we can move them to the fund, to the schemes. But of course we are not saying just because you do not have the required capital or collateral, you just have to move straight into the scheme. There should be a proper assessment from the banks. We in the reviews again, what happened was we had to review the interest rates that is being charged by the banks as well as the non-banks. Currently, it is prime plus a minimum of 2%, up to prime plus 5%, which is it's staggered. Of course, it will depend on the risk assessment by the bank to say, client A, we want to price that particular business at prime plus 5. Of course, that will depend on the risk attached to that particular project. So that is another incentive that is there to try to encourage banks to participate in the schemes. And in terms of talking to your clients, that is what we encourage during the bankers' quarterly meetings.
Is it all the banks in Eswatini that offer this facility, and which are those non-banking financial institutions that offer the loan guarantee schemes?
We've got 4 commercial banks. We've got First National Bank, we've got Nedbank, we've got Eswatini Bank, and then we've got Standard Bank. And within the non-bank financial institutions, we have got FinCorp, we've got IDCE, which is the Industrial Development Company of Eswatini, formerly SIDC. Then we've got Eswatini National Industrial Development Corporation, NIDIC, as well as the Youth Fund, which is one of the participating institutions. So we've got 8 institutions where one who wants to start or to promote his or her business would go to access funding.
How long is this facility?
We've got a short to medium term loans or guarantees, as well as those that are considered to be long term. In terms of those which are short to medium term, we say they do not exceed 5 years. Then that particular loan should have been liquidated within the 5 years. But of course, it depends on that particular business or project that the SME is undertaking. And in terms of the longer term, we say the money should come back within 10 years. Yes, that is the longer term facility.
Nowadays, most financiers are talking about innovation. They want new ideas. Are there any specific projects that you are looking for, especially under the small-scale loan enterprise guarantee scheme?
Okay, in that aspect, we are not, segregating between the businesses that are there. What we are saying, it should be a legal enterprise in order to participate and get the facility. In terms of the sectors, we are looking at all the sectors. It could be in agriculture, commerce, tourism, ITC, which is information technology, as well as actually all the sectors are covered within the scheme. So it's not an issue of are you dealing with IT or you are in agriculture. We cover all the sectors.
Thank you so much, Mnguni. Let's hope that small and medium enterprises have learned a lot from this conversation that we've had, and they will be able to approach the non-banking financial institutions that you have mentioned, as well as banks, to access this scheme.
It's 4 minutes before 3 o'clock. We now get into our final segment, which is the market analysis. I'm joined by Sandy Swadlamini from Nedbank Eswatini. He's the treasury dealer at Nedbank Eswatini. Of course, welcome. A very good afternoon. What do the tensions in the Middle East have on markets today?
Good afternoon, Lulu, and good afternoon to all your viewers at home. So we are seeing the results of the high tensions in Israel, Lebanon, and including Iran. So today we are currently trading at 17.61 for the US dollar. We're coming from an opening of 17.54. So there is a high depreciation of the rand currently because, as you can know, like we're coming from 17.02. So there has been a high depreciation, and this comes from a lot of things, including that the Federal Reserve in the US have indicated that they are going to cut interest rates less aggressively than we initially thought. So they will cut at around 25 basis points going forward instead of 50. So the euro is at 19.3071, the GBP at 23.0364. So in Europe, we also note that there is low inflation, and currently we expect an interest rate cut. So the ECB might cut the interest rates this month or in December. So, and the GBP have appreciated against the rand, but it appreciated less compared to the other two currencies, and that's because in comparison, investors and traders are now preferring the USD over GBP as a safe haven since there are tensions and threats of war.
Okay.
Moving forward to the commodities or equities, we have the S&P at 5,751.13. So the S&P is currently doing well, and this is mostly coming from the tech industry, which is doing well today. And the FTSE is at 8,190.61. It's also doing well, and this is coming from the tobacco, construction and building material, electricity and media industry. The JSE All Share is not doing so well, and this is because the rand is currently not doing so well. It's depreciated heavily, and also the geopolitical tensions in the Middle East, and also we have the stimulus from China, which was disappointing yesterday. And going forward to the commodities, gold is down at 2,617, and crude oil is up. Crude oil is up because of the tensions and the threat from Israel that it might hit Iran sooner as a retaliation. And the threat here comes from the fact that Israel might strike their oil fields or their ports where they export oil, and this is going to put a big strain on their oil supply, and oil prices might spike.
All right, yeah, that's right. Thank you so much, Sandisa, for that brief overview of today's financial markets. And that's it for our program today. This was Nedbank Business Watch. We'll see you again next week, Wednesday at exactly 2 p.m. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Make better money choices. Choose a bank that takes your money seriously. Business Watch was brought to you by Nedbank.